We're less than a month away from the release of Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater, the much-awaited remake of Naked Snake's original adventure that started his journey to becoming Big Boss. Konami Productions' effort to bring a classic from its franchise to the current generation of gamers is poised to make the most of modern gaming hardware, and perhaps pave the way for more remakes of other titles in the future. To that end, the studio has brought several changes to the title to better suit modern platforms, ensuring that Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater retains what made it so special while also being appealing to a new audience who are quite discerning when it comes to their video games. So with that in mind, here are some key differences between the remake and the original title that can help usher its explosive action into a new age. Quickly access your radio. In the original title, accessing your radio required that you dive into the codec menu, and then select your contact in order to use it. It wasn't a tedious experience, but considering how important it was to stay in touch with your team and support, the additional screens felt like a minor hindrance. However, Konami has made accessing the codec menu quite simple, requiring the press of a button on your D-pad to bring it up and a quick tilt of your controller stick to get to the radio. Not only is it more convenient, but it's also more realistic. It means that players can more seamlessly access a rather nifty function, and it makes for a better experience all around. Camouflage galore. Konami has wisely retained the ability to camouflage yourself while out in the open, allowing you to slip past enemies undetected as you pursue your objectives. While the original game required you to dive into the codec menu to put on a new disguise, its new accessibility in the remake means that Naked Snake can switch up his disguises on the fly. And that's quite the improvement, and is sure to make veterans of the franchise quite happy, while newcomers can be spared the annoyance of having to dive into a menu each time that they want to switch things up based on the situation at hand. New CQC animations. Close Quarters Combat, or CQC as the cast of MGS call it, has been a mainstay of the franchise over its many installments. Developed by The Boss and Naked Snake during his time under the former's tutelage, the original game featured several fancy ways to take down threats in the event that you were forced to fight them. The remake has taken things up a notch, bringing new animations to Naked Snake's takedowns that are more stylish and brutal than they've ever been. We're particularly impressed with a move in which he pulls an enemy in for multiple strikes before he slams them to the ground to finish them off. I mean, just take a look at how he takes down Volgin. We're pretty sure that move was not in the original. Combat in the remake looks like it's going to be very satisfying indeed. A newish way to take cover. In the original game, taking cover involved approaching a wall or environmental object and pressing the action button to enter cover. In the remake, Konami has incorporated a cover system similar to the one in Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain, allowing you to automatically enter cover as soon as you approach the right environmental object. It's seamless and a whole lot more immersive, and is sure to be a boon to anyone who is approaching the remake after some time with the franchise's more recent titles. Better sneak peeks. Another incorporation from MGS5 is the ability to peek and zoom in while in cover, making it a lot easier to study enemy patrols and to plan a stealthy approach that's likely to succeed with a more intuitive control scheme at your disposal. Simply use the right stick to zoom in. This is more in line with modern titles as opposed to the system in MGS3 where you would have to use the aim zoom in or out instead. We now have a compass. Konami has included a compass in its long list of additions to MGS Delta, allowing you to have a tool that points you in the direction of your next objective if you ever feel like you're lost. You can simply equip the compass as a quick access item, allowing you to use it quite effortlessly. Quite a useful change, if there ever was one. Carrying the scars of battle. Unlike the original game, where any evidence of injuries that Naked Snake suffered in the field were erased as soon as you were able to patch them up, MGS Delta uses the power of current-gen hardware to present a, well, more realistic take on his origin story. You will now see scars on his body from any injuries you sustain while out in the field, allowing for a more realistic and immersive take on his adventure. Reportedly, they will now persist throughout the gameplay experience. A more realistic camo index. Among the more innovative features of MGS3, the camo index in Metal Gear Solid Delta is receiving a few upgrades. Originally intended as a mechanic that helps you track just how hidden Naked Snake is from the sight of enemies, the camo index was influenced by what you were wearing and how you approached an area. either hidden behind cover or using the mud to cover your approach. For example, wet mud sticks to Naked Snake for a while, eventually drying on his uniform or only goes away once he switches it out, thereby dynamically impacting the camo index. It's a layer of additional realism enabled by current-gen hardware that works well with Konami's other quality of life changes to balance the remake against the original experience that inspired it. Use heavier weapons as you move. We return once again to Naked Snake's weapons, specifically the sniper rifle and rocket launcher. In the original, Naked Snake would need to stay in place to use those weapons. However, Metal Gear Solid Delta allows you to use them as you move without stopping your approach, since you carry them on your back in a manner similar to MGS5, as long as they are equipped. Also, you won't automatically shift to first-person view if you equip it, as it was the case in the original. It makes for a more seamless approach to a variety of situations, allowing Snake to have more options at his disposal while he's out in the field. MGS5 style aiming. Close aiming in the original Metal Gear Solid 3 was a cumbersome affair, and could likely be a sore point to players used to a more intuitive aiming system. Fortunately, Konami has implemented the aiming system from Phantom Pain in this remake, allowing for a traditional third-person POV or an over-the-shoulder POV based on the weapon that you wish to use. It's another meaningful change in a long list of additions that can make the remake feel entirely new, even to returning veterans of the franchise. Having said that, you can still do the zoom-in aiming if you wish to. Capture your best work with the new photo mode. If you're excited by the graphical upgrades that Delta brings over from the original MGS3 experience, well, know that there is a photo mode being included in this remake. We cannot wait to set up countless cool shots with Naked Snake hiding in plain sight of his enemies while they remain oblivious to his presence, thanks to some clever use of camouflage and our environment. Choose your playstyle. If you're a fan of the original game's overhead camera system, there is a legacy-style control system that lets you enjoy the remake's graphical overhaul while retaining MGS3's control systems and POVs. However, Konami also included a new style that revamps the controls and camera angles to suit what modern audiences may be used to, making better use of the additional resources that newer platforms offer to allow a refreshing change of pace and point of view in its remake. Various on-screen filters. If you've been hesitant about diving into the remake, uncertain about its visual quality due to the lack of Kojima's excellent use of green and yellow hues, there is a legacy filter that brings back the PS2 version's color tones in all of their glory while retaining the new graphics. It could be the ultimate way to enjoy one of gaming's best classics for those of you who are more about nostalgia than the addition of modern touches to it. There are a whole bunch of other filters to try out as well, including ones that add sepia or retro effects to your playthrough. Your time in 1964 could be entirely your own this time around. Listen to the radio as you go. Remember how in the original MGS3 you could fast forward the codec text and the corresponding voice lines would advance right along with it? Well, Naked Snake would have to stay put and listen to conversations on the codec in Metal Gear Solid 3. Konami has switched things up in Delta. Now when you skip ahead during radio conversations, the voice acting keeps playing seamlessly, no more cutting off the dialogue mid-sentence. Perhaps Naked Snake managed to snag a pair of headphones in the many years since this original's release. Do more lying down. In another addition from MGS5, you can now move and aim while lying prone on your back, giving you new ways to deal with threats as you infiltrate Volgan's ranks to get to your next objective in the game. It's a solid addition that could change the way that you approach various situations if you're already familiar with the original game, and is one that newcomers are sure to appreciate. For veterans already familiar with enemy layouts and patrol routes, this addition could let you set up new ways to achieve your goals without your opponents ever knowing that you were there. Are you as excited to try out all of these nifty additions as we are? Well, if yes, we're going to be seeing you back in 1964 as we retread some familiar ground and set Naked Snake down his path to becoming one of Metal Gear Solid's most iconic characters. And that'll be about it for this one. If you guys like what we're doing at Gaming Vault, please consider subscribing to our channel, and I'll see you guys on the next video.